Marvel Rivals Season 2 just dropped, and let me tell you, the meta is spicier than the Human Torch. I'm Prophet, your go-to source for climbing ranks and outsmarting those ELO chaos lobbies. Today we're diving into the definitive Season 2 tier list for Marvel Rivals, broken out into two groups, low ELO and high ELO. This is backed by win rates, pick rates, and more. We've got buffs, nerfs, reworks, and a meta so flyer heavy it's basically Top Gun with superheroes. Whether you're stuck in bronze or sweating in top 500, this video's got tidbits to level up your game. So grab your energy drink, mute your toxic teammate, and let's break this down. Season 2's been out for just over a week, and the meta's already wild. Buffs like Peni Parker's crit-enabled primary fire are shaking things up, while nerfs, like Wolverine's ultimate turning into a wet noodle, are sending former S tiers to the Shadow Realm. Reworks like Iron Fist's tank shredding tweaks are forcing us to rethink comps. This tier list isn't just me and my buddies theorizing in Discord. We're pulling stats from games across all ranks. It's not the whole story, but it's a way better picture than my last lobby where someone picked Black Widow and typed GG before the match started. Higher pick rates mean more reliable win rates, so we're factoring that in to keep this legit. Here's the deal. We've got two tier lists, low ELO, bronze to platinum, and high ELO, diamond to one above all. These rankings come from crunching data, talking to top players, and my own experience. But let's be real, tier lists are opinions. If you're popping off with a D tier hero, you're the real MVP. My goal? Help you understand why heroes are where they are and give you tips to climb faster. Let's start with the tank busting Canadian, Wolverine. They reduced the time an enemy is knocked down after impact from Last Stand, his ultimate ability, from 1 second to 0.75 seconds, as well as rework how rage is gained. His ultimate has been incredibly inconsistent with knocking enemies where they would have previously gone last season as well, which is another reason why you see his win rates plummet in Season 2. Emma Frost does a good job of limiting what the Wolvers can do. The Thing doesn't get bothered by him, Magneto has his bubble, and with Hulk's movement buffs, he's even trickier to get a hold of now. It's also a Flyers meta, which doesn't bode well for Mr. Slice and Dice. Wolverine goes in D tier for both low and high ELO, as he has the 4th lowest win rate across all heroes, across all ranks so far this season. Winter Soldier. This patch increased the cooldown time for Bionic Hook from 8 seconds to 12 seconds, and nerfed his ultimate base damage from 100 to 80. They also lowered the calling threshold from 20% of maximum health to 15%. He's actually fairly weak to flyers as well, with his projectile shot being more difficult to land than hit scan heroes. And with the rise in prevalence of Emma Frost and the shifting meta, Bucky has fallen off sharply, and he is now the 3rd lowest win rate across all ranks and an above average pick rate of nearly 14%. A lot of people are still picking Bucky. That's 2 heroes in a row who go in D tier for both low and high ELO. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Venom. Venom feels strong this season with the direct and indirect nerfs to some of the other vanguards on this list that we'll be covering in a bit. His win rates leave a lot to be desired in low ELO with his unique playstyle in the vanguard slot. It's proving difficult to get value if you're in low ELO at the moment. However, he's boasting an impressive 51+% win rate in high ELO currently, and can be an absolute menace to the backline and shut down enemy pushes before they begin. He gets an A rating here, and he slots into C for low ELO. Thor. Thor's HP was slightly nerfed by 25 hit points due to losing his team-up anchor bonus from last season, but he got a base movement speed increase of 50 to help compensate. With the prevalence of the flyer meta and high ELO, it's challenging for Thor to consistently break out and carry games in high ELO, although it can be done. Thor gets a B here, and in low ELO, his win rates are consistently higher while he can hammer dash his way around the map, creating space and displacing enemies to take advantage of with his faster movement speed. He gets an A rating here, and that's also partially due to the fact that he has over a 52% win rate in low ELO. He's the 2nd highest winning tank in low ELO as well. So here's the thing. Things Embattled leap damage reduction ability was decreased from 30% to now 25%, and you can tell that a bit in combination with this in this new fly dive meta. He's struggling just a pinch currently. You could say he's rocking a 48% win rate in low ELO currently, which isn't as strong compared to other vanguards, and he's easy pickings for the enemy Iron Man to poke at. He doesn't have the staying power of a true shield vanguard, and he has no way of dealing with aerial threats for the same reasons as low elo. High elo things have the same issue. He gets a B in both categories. The Punisher, he's in the bottom fourth of all heroes across all ranks when it comes to win rate. I believe people who play Call of Duty and started playing Marvel Rivals play Punisher. What you know, what you're used to from practically any other game out there, and I don't blame you, but Punisher has one of the worst win rates of any hero in both low and high elo, and I believe it's from players who don't fundamentally understand the hero shooter genre. If you're not paying attention, and let's face it, if you're a Punisher main, you're not paying attention, you'll get dove on and taken out. Iron Man is harder to kill with his bonus HP now, and you don't have the finishing power that a lot of other DPSs currently possess. So with the rise of dive and super buffed flying characters that a Punisher would have been able to keep in check in the past, he's gotten much softer against. Punisher gets a C for both low and high elo, and honestly, you could convince me to drop him to D. They forgot about Storm. She didn't get touched this update. She still got one of the highest win rates of any hero across every single rank so far. It can't be overstated how strong it is to get a continuous buff on anyone near you as well as yourself. Oh, and you can fly. And it turns out that is a nasty synergy with the Giga buffed Human Torch and Iron Man. Spoiler alert, Storm claims our first S rank in both categories. She's got over a 54% win rate across all ranks. Star-Lord, his Blaster Barrage ability damage was nerfed, and there was also a new damage fall-off mechanic introduced for it that starts at 4 meters and increased the threshold of how long it takes to get his ultimate. His ultimate itself is still strong, and his overall versatility makes him viable in more comps than not. And in high elo, he's a bit of a Swiss Army knife with the ability to flank, fly, shoot from a distance, albeit not at a range like a Black Widow or something, but you're not forced to always be within melee distance with him. Old Peter Quill here gets an A in high elo due to the fact that one of Star-Lord's best attributes is that he can be almost constantly flying or zipping around the map. He often finds himself in duels, and in low elo this doesn't bode well for him statistically speaking. Low elo players have difficulty knowing exactly when to disengage, and that's no different for Star-Lord here with a sad 45% win rate in low elo, so he gets a C rating here. Squirrel Girl. This hero can be an absolute menace on certain maps and against certain team comps. But then again, you could say that about any character. Old Squirrels here has below a 50% win rate in every single rank currently, and has the second lowest win rate of any hero in high elo at 42%. Once again, we have buff flyers, which she will be consistently missing, and high level players aren't going to bunch up like a bunch of bowling pins for her to get insane value 24/7. Squirrely gets an F for high elo. In low elo, you will have enemies line up considerably more, but not enough to significantly change Squirrel Girl's win rate. She's got a 46% win rate at a nearly 11% pick rate, suggesting the masses in low elo struggle against her damage spamming potential. Still, she's not as busted as some of your triggered friends might suggest she is. Squirrely Squirrels gets a C for low elo. Spider-Man, you ban him all the time, but what do the stats have to say about his win rate? Spider-Man is literally in the middle of the road across all ranks. And here's where we deviate from purely statistics again. If you're in low elo, you can consistently pull people off the map as Spidey. You can easily get backline picks, almost forcing your team to a victory at times, and you don't have to worry about what high-level Spideys are concerned with: aim. You're just not seeing dominant Hela players in low elo. If you get even just a couple of Spidey's combos down in the training range, you can be a force to be reckoned with in low elo. Spidey gets an A here. For high elo, it gets considerably more difficult to pull off the same tricks that landed you in your rank. It's not impossible to make plays, it's just more difficult and a bit less consistent, and for that, Spidey gets a B in high elo. Scarlet Witch. A good Scarlet player can control a lobby in low elo. We also haven't seen her full wrath of utilizing her new extremely powerful team up with Doctor Strange, as players haven't had a lot of time abusing this yet. Her ult was buffed with a faster movement speed in the beginning phase. Her damage was buffed against strategists and duelists, all at the small price of having her mystic projection disappearing ability being nerfed. Wanna gets an A in low elo. For high elo, she lacks the burst damage Hela provides easily. She can't fly like Storm, and even with a buffed ultimate startup, it's still not enough to be consistently devastating against quick thinking high elo players. But don't get it twisted, Wanda can trade blows here yet. She gets a solid B in high elo. Rocket Raccoon, how many of you are skipping to this part right here? He's busted, like really busted. This is a picker ban character right now. He has the highest win rate in the game across all ranks, just under 55%, and the third highest pick rate at over 45%. In season 1.5, he was a top 3 character across all ranks at almost any given time, and he was buffed for this season. He was buffed. His healing orbs were nerfed from healing 70 per second to now just 50 per second, but they added a new effect where upon impact, a healing orb will immediately heal 55 HP. This is in addition to the healing of 50 per second. His ultimate damage buff was nerfed from 40% to now only 25%, so that is a fairly large chunk, but this was more than offset with giving linked allies a buff of receiving 100 bonus HP per second, capping at 150. So his jetpack dash distance and cooldown were nerfed, so he's a little more diveable now, and that is notable. But even with that, if you actually hit your teammates with your orbs, even occasionally or on accident, this is the strongest character in the game currently. He also has incredibly high damage output with his primary fire, and that wasn't touched this patch. If you're enjoying this breakdown and want more Marvel Rivals guides to escape the ELO clown fiesta, consider subscribing. I make weekly content including rank tips, guides, and more. Back to the video. With Psylocke being hit scanned, she gets an immediate bump for this current flying duelist meta, but not enough to outright make her busted. She's got a solid 52% win rate with a near 19% pick rate, which is quite a bit above average. People are picking her quite a bit, although there are still several duelists who are outshining her with this current patch. She gets an A for high elo. Strong, you like having her on your team, but not a must pick. Similar in low elo, she does a great job of keeping the Iron Man players in check, but she falls off a bit as her kit is optimized best for mindful combat, something that low elo players struggle with when they're focusing on everything else in the game. Her win rate slides to a fairly sad 46% in low elo. Still, she has a solid kit, she can flank, she can do chip damage, she can go invisible, she has solid movement. She gets a B here. Peni Parker. My goodness, did this hero get giga buffed this season. Her primary fire can crit now. Her movement speed while firing got buffed. Instead of a 40% movement speed penalty, is now halved to 20%, and she received 100 additional HP. There are only 2 Vanguards with a higher win rate than her across all ranks at the moment. In low elo, you can place your mines anywhere, and I mean anywhere, and get insane value with her. Easy S tier here, easy. For high elo, she still has a low pick rate hovering around 5%, and her win rates aren't quite as strong compared to low elo. In the right hand, she can be devastating, but she's not a pick up and win character as much as some others are on this list. She gets an A here. Namor. Okay. Alien Squid is strong, no doubt about it, but what do the stats suggest? He's almost in the bottom third of all heroes for win rates across all ranks currently. Now to complicate this, in high elo, he has a ban rate of over 11%, and Hulk has a ban rate of over 28%, preventing Mr. Fishman from having his Giga Green team up squid. So he has a projectile shot. He's less consistent hitting these crazy flyers than a hit scan hero. In close to a third of his games, he doesn't have his third Monstro spawn. So the question is, does he deserve a top spot on this list when he's statistically average without a team up? Still though, the fact him or Hulk have to be banned constantly to have a good time in this game, Namor gets an A for high elo. For low elo, there are no bans until gold, and even leading up to gold, Namor has a 48% win rate. That means he has free reign to grab a Hulk team up, but even with that added benefit, Namor falls behind more duelists than not in the win rate department. Let's face it, what are the odds you're going to have a strong Hulk player in your team in low elo? Even if you do have one, what are the odds another person will also pick up a Vanguard role to give you a 2-tank fighting chance? Exactly. Namor gets a C in low elo. Moon Knight. They buffed Mark's primary projectile speed from 120 meters per second to 150 meters per second. He can now get up to a maximum of 100 bonus HP if he hits multiple enemies. His grappling hook startup speed was buffed from taking 0.4 seconds to now just taking 0.15 seconds, and extended his ultimate from 3.5 seconds to 4.5 seconds. Across all ranks, he's still in the bottom third of all heroes for win rates. However, that's a bit of an upgrade from being the second or third from the bottom period. In high elo, however, he's the 5th worst hero in the win rate category. Win rates don't mean everything, but they do give an idea. He still struggles against almost every other duelist in the game, and even with the projectile speed boost, which I have noticed, it's incredibly difficult to get consistent value against flyers for a projectile-based hero. Mark gets a D rating in high elo, and similar to Squirrel Girl, he's much more likely to get massive value from his ultimate and primary attacks from unsuspecting enemies bunching up over and over and over again. He gets a C here. Mr. Fantastic. Reed got buffed in all the ways this patch. I don't have enough time to cover it all, but the TLDR is additional control ability, more base damage, increased HP, and an optimized ult. He now has the 2nd highest win rate across all ranks. His win rate steadily decreases the higher up you go in elo as well, but he's still a top 10 hero at the moment. He's definitely unorthodox, but that's part of the charm and a large part of what makes him effective, especially in low elo. He gets an S rating here. He can control space, contest the objective, peel, absorb damage. You could say he's pretty flexible. And although he's actually busted in the right person's hands this patch, I haven't seen him consistently dominating high-level play long enough to justify an S-tier rating just yet. There's a handful of duelists alone who edge him out in win rate and overall dominance from what I've been seeing. Let's see where we're at a couple of weeks from now. Mr. Man gets an A here for now. Mantis, her base health was nerfed from 275 to 250 this patch, but she can now stack her healing flower and allied inspiration up to a maximum of 16 seconds, up from 8. So each use of one of those lasts for 8 seconds. That means you can stack healing twice on someone or damage boost a teammate by 12%. So you're doubling how long they can have that for. Even though you do feel the HP nerf, there are some combos that can take you out now that didn't before. She definitely got even better at doing what she did best before, and that's shell out damage. The extended duration for the healing flower is great too. So where does this leave her? Not a whole lot has changed for her actually. I think she's one of the best heroes in the game to climb with. She gets an S tier for low elo, and although she's strong in high elo, her win rates fade fairly consistently the higher rank you get. And I think even with her incredible damage output, there are too many games I play where I'm like, yep, just needed a little bit more healing here. Players get better at shelling out consistent damage, and even though you do damage to counteract that, sometimes it's just not enough. Mantis gets an A here. Magneto. The only thing they did to Magneto this season was slightly nerf how long it takes to generate his ultimate. It went from a cost of 3,100 to now 3,400. This is in and of itself not a big deal. Here's an interesting stat though. Mag is seeing a 20% pick rate and a 45% win rate across all ranks at the moment. That's not incredibly alarming since he's in a ton of games, but his win rate isn't as strong as most thought it would be heading into this season, with the 45th patch in a row of Doctor Strange nerfs, who has over a 49% win rate and nearly 17% pick rate yet. Look, I enjoy playing Magneto. He's one of my go-to vanguards, but no one knows how to play him in low elo. He has the absolute lowest win rate and low elo of any vanguard by a decent margin, and I can count on one hand the amount of times I've seen a strong mag player in low elo lobbies. I've watched him play a ton of Marvel Rivals. Is this rating going to be controversial? Maybe, but it needs to be said. I'm putting Mag in D tier here. For high elo, this gets tricky, and a lot of people are filling when they play Magneto or Strange, feeling they need to have one true tank, and I get that. It's not like our duelist numbers are people filling usually, it's just people just wanting to play duelist, right? With a high pick rate and just below average win rate, I'm going to give Mag an A rating in high elo. When he's played right, he can control entire team fights. He's that commanding. Magik, she's got the 6th highest win rate in the game across all ranks at 54%, and that's at a middle of the road pick rate of 12.5%. That's impressive. She's tanky, She can dash in and out of fights, she can combo the enemy backline back into spawn, and you can learn all of those mechanics fairly well with 20 minutes of practice in the training range with her. Magik gets an S tier for low elo, and believe it or not, her win rates creep up the higher you get in elo currently. This is due to the complexity of her role. I feel like she's surprisingly easy to pick up, but incredibly difficult to master, which highlights she has a high skill ceiling. And high elo players love that since they're good at the game. You have the potential to outplay any role in this game as Magik. She can take high ground from you with her stepping disc teleports. She can combo you into oblivion. Oh, and you get bonus HP that rivals your tank's health during all of that. With the big cool sword and Russian accent to boot, Magik gets an S tier here too. Luna Snow. Before you downvote me for this take, hear me out. If you want to watch other content creators put Luna in S tier, watch practically any other tier list video. Luna has the 4th lowest win rate of any hero across all ranks this season. The 4th lowest. Now, just like some other characters on this list, I'm sure there are plenty of people who are filling in the strategist role and don't really know how to play her, but the 4th lowest win rate? There's a clear delta here between her and even Magneto or Strange, who we know also get filled a lot. So what's going on here? She's a technical hero. You have to aim with her. You have to have quick aim for healing. You have to actually utilize your share the stage snowflake ability, which doesn't happen in low elo, and your priority target number 1 for the enemy team. So your awareness needs to be sharp. Yes, your ultimate can win you the team fight if you don't get blasted out of it, but what are you doing the other 90% of the time during the match? Luna gets a D in low elo. Not surprisingly, Luna's win rate climbs the higher you get in elo, although still fairly shy of around 50%, but due to people filling, matches that end in a draw and the high pick rate of over 31%, you can't go just off of the win rate. With an ultimate so strong it justifies being copied by Loki every chance he gets, and the rise of technical prowess the more you rank up, Luna slots into A tier for high elo. Loki, they only nerfed his regeneration domain from 25 seconds to now 30 seconds. That's his green healing pools for anyone who doesn't play him, by the way. This isn't even worth mentioning though. If you have a hero who can copy any other hero in the game, they instantly go up multiple ranks. The ability to use the best ultimate on the battlefield for that specific situation is one of, if not the strongest characteristics in this game. With his illusions enabling him to stack damage or healing, the ability to go invisible for as long as you want, teleporting at the snap of your fingers. Do I need to say anything else? Even with his slightly tricky mechanical setup, Loki has above 50% win rates from low elo all the way into high elo. He's one of the easiest S tier choices for both categories. Jeff the Land Shark, he's got the 2nd worst win rate of all heroes across all ranks. In low elo, people don't know how to use them like a duelist, and even if they do, your team isn't going to know how to play around you and treat you like a DPS. They're going to expect a heal bot, which is not how meta Jeffs are playing. Jeff gets an F for low elo. And in high elo, Jeff is still not performing this season, only beating out 5 other heroes in terms of win rate. That being said, a decent Jeff is incredibly difficult to kill. He can provide insane area control with his ultimate when the point needs to be contested, and the duality of DPS and healing make him a tricky character to play against. Still, you can say he's not really making waves in high elo. He gets a D here. Iron Man. Iron Man's hitbox was slightly decreased this patch, making him more difficult to hit, and he now gains 100 bonus health when activating his armor overdrive, which is his power-up mode. I play a lot of Iron Man, and I can tell you this 100 bonus HP for his armor overdrive is an excellent buff. You can face tank that extra shot or 2 of damage, which is all you need to confirm the kill in more situations. 5th highest win rate in the game across all ranks. In low elo, you can stay at max height, even though you're not doing your most or best damage, and just shoot at the backline uncontested like 80% of the time. Iron Man gets an easy S tier here, and believe it or not, in high elo, he's inside the top 5 for win rate, but he's got a low pick rate just under 7%, implying he's only carried out when the conditions are right, namely Hela and or Psylocke aren't on the map. There are other heroes who can handle Iron Man as well, like a smart Spiderman player, but if you want to talk about controlling a lobby and encountering a hefty list of heroes as well. Iron Man sits high on the list. He gets an A here. Iron Fist reworks this season made him deal more damage against tanks, decreased the cooldown of his kick ability from 12 to 10 seconds, and only slightly nerfed his bonus HP gain from Harmony recovery from 150 to 100, but slowed the fall off rate of that health from 25 seconds to just 15 seconds, so his bonus HP falls off at a 40% slower clip. 40%. He's got a 51.55% win rate across all ranks at the moment, placing him 11th across all heroes. But in low elo specifically, believe it or not, he's got a 49% win rate with a middle of the road pick rate of over 13%. It's too early in the season for low elo players to figure out this ever-changing hero's newest buff, so give it time, and I think we see his win rate climb as the season goes on. You need to know how to use him, and it's not just as simple as throwing out a couple of punches and winning the fight. There's a bit of prep and patience involved with this character, quite a bit more nuanced than what you initially think. For now, he sits in B tier. As for high elo, he's got the 6th highest win rate across all heroes, a massive discrepancy from low elo, and he has a higher pick rate than low elo as well, which is interesting. Instead of 13%, it's over 15%. A good Iron Fist player can take over a match, even with this flying meta, and we all know it's a bit of a meme, but it's true. Iron Fist isn't too afraid of flyers. He gets an S tier here. Invisible Woman, a 40% pick rate across all ranks and a 47% win rate compared to Luna's 44% win rate. In closed off angles with your team, holding the point from a specific spot where you simply have a couple of players on the field, friend or foe, that you can line up by a simple rotation, you get insane value with this hero. Invisible Woman's range leaves a lot to be desired, but if the reach was further out, she'd be straight up busted. In low elo, it's difficult to have your team play around and with your shield and understand you can't take out Groot walls to literally save your own life. Invis gets a B rating here. Invis's pick rate increases from 40% to 41% in high elo with no real change in win rates. Your area control and ability to push or pull people can swing fights in the matter of a second though, and even if not for that, simply due to the fact you have teammates who understand your weaknesses and strengths more in high elo, and they will play around you more, maybe not consistently or as much as you'd like, but more than when you were in your silver days. Invis gets an A rating here. Human Torch. His attack interval speed was buffed from taking 0.6 seconds to now 0.5 seconds, which is over a 16% buff. And he gets 75 bonus HP when he uses his flaming meteor dive. In low elo, he's got just under a 49% win rate and a bottom 5 pick rate at 8%. He's a unique character. He pokes, he flies, he dives, I guess. He's a bit more brawly now, but we all know you don't want to be taking damage in low elo since you're not going to get healed, at least not consistently. And if you're a flyer, you better have the map pack locations memorized. Johnny gets a C rating here. For high elo, his pick rate increases to 9%, but his win rate skyrockets up to nearly 54%. There are only 4 duelists who edge him out here. His area control, poke damage, and now burst damage from his dive that you don't have to be as hesitant about using anymore has objectively shown he's a force to be reckoned with. The Torch gets an S rating here. Hulk. His base movement speed was buffed by over 8%. His bubble cooldown was buffed from a 12-second cooldown to 10 seconds now. And the minimum charge time it takes for Incredible Leap was buffed from taking 0.7 seconds to 0.5 seconds now. He's got over a 54% win rate in high elo right now. Gives Namor's Monster Squid a ridiculous ray gun with extra sauce. And he's got a cool season pass skin. He's in S tier for high elo once more. For low elo, the situation is almost identical. He has the 3rd highest win rate across all heroes, above 53%, and seeing a middle of the road pick rate sitting at just under 11%. You have staying power on the point with your lower cooldown bubble now. You can exile enemies. You can pop your ult for even more survivability if you force them to first drain your already impressive health bar. You can jump in and antagonize the enemy backline, jump back to the front line to help contest while getting healed up. Hulk gets an easy S rating here too. Hela. Hela is another duelist I have a lot of experience with. Long story short, they nerfed her bird ability from a 12-second cooldown to a 15-second cooldown, which is a pretty big deal. However, they straight up buffed her right click Piercing Knight ability from dealing 30 spell field damage to doing 35. And they buffed her Soul Drainer stun ability from a 12-second cooldown to a 10-second cooldown. So they made the glass cannon a more extreme glass cannon. That being said, because you need to have solid aim to get value out of her, she only has a 47% win rate in low elo. Not terrible, but not good either. She's weaker against dive now, which is tricky to handle in any rank, but especially in low elo since you're less likely to get help. But you only need to land like 1 or 2 shots out of the 8 you have to take a pesky Storm or Iron Man out of the picture. Helas are easier to counter in low elo now than ever before. She gets a C here. In high elo, her win rate creeps up to over 49%, but still middle of the pack, and I can tell you there are a lot of matches where it's tricky to get value with her. If there's a Groot throwing up walls, that's not friendly to the lower amount of shots you have to work with. If they have a Psylocke, that's a bad matchup for you. Captain America is a nightmare to deal with. There are a lot of situations where it's straight up awkward to play this heavy hitting hero. You're excellent at keeping the flyers in check, but if you mess up even a little, you have one get out of jail free card with your bird, and that additional cooldown time is felt. She gets a B here. Hawkeye. I'm just going to read you verbatim what was put for Clint's bust for this season. Reduce the slow effect while charging the bow from 30% to 20%. Increase both instances of damage for hypersonic arrow from 50 to 55. Decrease energy cost for Hunter's Sight, his ultimate ability, from 3700 to 3100. And improve the bow draw speed increase from 1.35x to 1.5x. So in summary, you're harder to hit when charging your bow, your hypersonic arrow ability does more damage, and it costs less to farm your ultimate while your draw speed is increased. You still got a 44% win rate in low elo because they didn't buff the most important part for these types of players, making it easier to aim. So Hawkeye gets a D rating here. For high elo, he's getting close to a 50% win rate and has a 8.5% pick rate. So his numbers have improved by a solid margin season over season. You can one-shot enemies out of their ultimates with a normal projectile of yours. You can pick opponents off the point from practically your spawn if you have line of sight, and you're lethal against flyers. Don't get it twisted though, you're still pretty easy to dive against. You don't provide attrition against shield tanks, and if you miss a few key shots in a row, you would have been better off picking almost any other character. High risk, high reward. Hawkeye gets a B rating here. Groot. There are only 2 Vanguards with a lower win rate than Groot in low elo. He's sitting at a 47.5% win rate with a 7.5% pick rate. He's challenging to play right. Everyone and their mama wants to play Punisher and go pew pew, and you probably wall off your team in a detrimental way more so than help it, and you're not even aware of it. Groot gets a C here. With over a 52% win rate in high elo and over a 9% pick rate to boot, the narrative changes drastically here. You have staying power, stopping power, and you can outplay more opponents than not with smart wall placement. You have an incredibly strong ultimate, and you can do considerable damage to anyone you want if you have average aim. Groot gets an S here. Emma Frost. This Vanguard has a hit scan attack with a range of 15 meters, and the damage scales up the longer you are dealing damage, from 70 damage per second up to 150 damage per second. You can switch targets and even not do consistent damage and keep your energy damage meter topped up for a long period of time, so you can keep shelling out 150 damage per second. You get a 30% damage reduction when you're in your diamond form. You can CC enemies by choke slamming them, kicking them against walls, which does additional damage. You have a 6-second ult that can further CC enemies, and they can't cast their ultimates during that time. She has a 49% win rate in low elo currently, and is behind 4 other Vanguards, but she has far and away the highest pick rate in the game at 70%, 70, with the second highest pick rate being Cloak and Dagger at just under 40%. To give you some context, there's no way people know how to properly play Emma Frost yet, and it's even trickier to play against her if you haven't spent time figuring out her kit. You get a B for low elo. Strong but not oppressive, at least yet. For high elo, she has a 51% win rate and a 58% pick rate, only behind Rocket Raccoon in the pick rate category. There are multiple tanks in front of her in terms of win rate, but none of them come anywhere close to her pick rate. So even with everyone playing her right now, she still has over a 51% win rate, which is crazy. He gets put in S tier. Doctor Strange, his primary fire projectile was nerfed over 11% in terms of damage, and his dark damage ability he releases was nerfed by nearly 8%. He's been nerfed every season, and this season is the true breaking point for him in my opinion. He was a solid S tier Vanguard in the past, but no longer. He has one of the strongest abilities in the game with his portals, no doubt, but that's not enough to save him this time. He has just under a 49% win rate this season at a top third pick rate of 16%. There are 6 tanks that have higher win rates than him across all ranks this season. In low elo, his win rate drops to 48%. There are 5 tanks that have a higher, better win rate than him. How many team fights have you seen won from a Strange portal in low elo, like the placement of it? I haven't seen many. You can win games without Strange this season is what I'm trying to say. He gets a C for low elo. For high elo, he's behind 6 tanks in terms of win rate at 47%. And a 17% pick rate. He's not terrible, but he's no longer super strong, so it deceptively makes him feel pretty bad. He gets a C for high elo as well. Cloak and Dagger. For this season, the duration of the first 3 healing zones of their ultimate will no longer be calculated separately. Instead, they will remain active until the duration of the final healing zone ends, at which point all will be removed together. So this was an alt buff. However, a 47% pick rate, 47% win rate across all ranks for this hero. Again, people who don't main strategist will often fill with Cloak and Dagger, so these numbers are going to be a bit skewed. It's easier to kill Cloak and Dagger out of ultimate from multiple other ultimates. So not only do you get a kill with your ult, but you also stop their ultimate, making the C and D ult feel a little soft. It's tricky to time Cloak and Dagger's dark teleportation invincibility to get consistent value out of it, especially in low elo. Cloak and Dag get a C here. For high elo, they still have a high pick rate of 34%, but their win rate sinks to a low 45%. Again, a counterable ultimate, and you have a lot of people filling with this character. Cloak and Dagger get a D for high elo. Captain America. His base health was reduced from 675 to 650, but that doesn't matter for this season since he has 100 additional HP from being a team-up anchor. So he's rolling around with a whopping 750 HP. They also reduced his shield value from 400 to 350, and you can definitely feel that. In low elo, Cap has a near 52% win rate with above a 10% pick rate though. He's strong, and because he's such a different Vanguard to use style-wise from practically every other tank, this lowers his ceiling for the average low elo player. He's strong but not broken here. He gets an A. For high elo, he has the highest win rate in the game at an above average 12.6% pick rate, meaning quite a few people are playing this hero. Given the current meta, my boy Steve is a bit overtuned. I don't think he's busted. Maybe he is, but I don't think he's absolutely broken, just incredibly strong. Mr. Freedom gets an S rating. Black Widow. Natasha was buffed for this season. Again, you can directly shoot after releasing the second kick of Edge Dancer now, and after using Electroplasma Explosion, her ultimate ability, and it doesn't matter. She still has the lowest win rate of all heroes across all ranks at 39%. She gets an F in low elo. For high elo, she still has the lowest win rate across all heroes. It doesn't matter she's hit scan. Her fire rate is too low. She's useless against providing value like taking out Groot's walls. She's not good at taking out shields from tanks or Invisible Woman's shield since she does 120 damage per shot, and her fire rate is too low. If you miss just one shot when you're dove on, you demand resources from your team to keep you up, and the one thing you'd think she'd be exceptional against, flyers, she's not really. Iron Man has more health this season, the Human Torch has bonus health now, and if Storm is flying in one spot long enough for you to hit her twice with your rifle, you could have killed her with more than half the other heroes in this game as well. I love the idea of Black Widow, I really do, but I don't love the execution. He gets an F in high elo too. Black Panther. BP has a 10% pick rate and a 47% win rate in low elo, placing him in the bottom half of heroes, believe it or not. He's weak to aerial assault, and you have to execute fairly consistently on his kit to get good value out of him. He's a tricky hero to play. He gets a C for low elo. In high elo, his win rate jumps up to a 50.5% and over a 7% pick rate. You really just have to be patient with him and go in when you're gifted an opportunity. High elo players do this more consistently, and you can get rewarded for it as well. Still, you're weak against flyers, you get shut down against triple strategists more often than not. BP gets a B here. Adam Warlock is in the top third win rate of all heroes in low elo, with a near 13% win rate. Would you have guessed that? This is another hero where he's going to stray away from what the data says though. You have to have good aim with this hero. You have to have good positioning with this hero. You have to have good awareness with this hero. When do you use your 40-second cooldown soul bond, which was nerfed this season? Previously was only a 30-second cooldown. You don't have to actively do anything to get value from your revive comp passive with Mantis and Star-Lord, and reviving multiple teammates for free can often win you the team fight, regardless of your mid heals. Adam gets a B for low elo. And again, I know I've been saying this a lot, but believe it or not, Adam's win rate drops to 48% in high elo, and people are playing him less with only a 6% pick rate. High elo players understand they can bait out your soul bond, and it takes a full college semester before you get it back again. So this is getting abused consistently. You're easily dove on now, and having zero mobility is terrible in this meta. Adam gets a C here. Drop a comment, what did I get wrong? Who's your main, and why is it probably Rocket? I read every comment, so let's start a riot. If you found this video entertaining or helpful, consider subscribing, and be sure to click here to check out my most recent video where I talk about how to instantly get better aim in Marvel Rivals. Until next time. And don't pick Black Widow.